Confidence scares people who survive on control. The second you stop shrinking, somebody starts studying ways to cut you down. They do not always attack directly. They smile first, praise lightly, then slip disrespect under the door. That is why you leave confused. You feel disrespected, doubted, drained, and somehow guilty for noticing it. Your confidence exposes something ugly in them. It reminds them they cannot easily manage, impress, or intimidate you. So watch the hidden moves carefully. Once you spot them, their power drops and your responses get colder. The first weapon is simple silence. Pause, hold eye contact, and make them sit inside what they just said. Manipulators feed on rushed reactions. When you answer too fast, you hand them your pulse, your fear, and leverage. Try this line when they poke you. Say interesting, then stop talking and let the silence press back. Most people miss the next part. Their real goal is not debate. It is shrinking your presence without looking threatened. And the darker move comes later. Once they fail privately, they start testing you in front of other people. One hidden behavior is the backhanded compliment. They praise your confidence, then frame it as arrogance, coldness, or attitude. At dinner, they grin and say, "You are bold now." Sounds harmless, but the message is, know your place. That is not honesty. That is envy wearing a friendly mask, trying to make your growth feel socially expensive. Healthy people adjust when you outgrow old roles. Toxic people get irritated because your confidence blocks their familiar access. Here's the part nobody warns you about. They want you explaining, laughing, and shrinking to make them comfortable again. Do not rescue their discomfort. Say, "You can think that," and let your face stay neutral. A neutral face is a weapon. It denies them emotional crumbs, and that frustrates insecure people fast. The second behavior looks smaller, but it reveals more. They interrupt you, talk over you, or dismiss your point instantly. This happens in meetings, family dinners, group chats. The pattern says your voice is welcome when it stays below theirs. Then comes the trap most people fall into. You start over-explaining, stacking proof, and begging respect from someone testing dominance. Do not chase the floor they removed. Cut it short with, "Already answered that," or "Say that again." That second line matters for a reason. Repetition forces them to hear their own disrespect without your emotional decoration. Watch how quickly they backpedal. Confident people do not fear clarity, but insecure ones hate being made obvious. Still, that is not the ugliest move. The more dangerous behavior hides behind concern, curiosity, and fake support. They ask how work is going. They ask about your plans, your relationship, your money, and where you feel uncertain. It sounds warm, but it is reconnaissance. They collect details today, then weaponize them later when your confidence needs cutting. A fake friend does this beautifully. They fish for weaknesses disguised as concern, then leak them during conflict or competition. That jealous coworker asking if you feel overwhelmed. They are not soothing you. They are measuring where to push. Here is your weapon there. Give them nothing soft, nothing detailed, nothing pleading. Say, "It is handled," and move on. Information is leverage in toxic hands. Not every question deserves an answer, and not every smile deserves your trust. Now watch what follows a boundary. The same person who acted close suddenly turns cold, distant, offended, or confusingly polite. That coldness is not mystery. It is punishment for losing access, a bill for control they can no longer charge. Silence itself is not always toxic. Intent decides everything, because healthy space restores peace while manipulative silence demands surrender. That distinction saves you from confusion. Not every difficult person is toxic, but toxic people repeat the same power games. When they go cold, stop chasing warmth. Use, "My answer is the same," or simply leave the message sitting. Leaving it unread for a while matters. It breaks the invisible leash they expected to tighten around your attention. The fourth behavior shows up after resistance. They start small smear moves, subtle jokes, missing credit, and selective exclusion. Your idea gets ignored in the room. 10 minutes later, someone repeats it, and suddenly they all hear genius. That is not random group energy. Somebody framed your confidence as a threat, so your value gets quietly taxed. And this is where it gets dark. When private control fails, they switch to image control and social pressure. They call you difficult, intense, full of yourself. Translation: you stop cooperating with disrespect, and now they need witnesses. Do not run around clearing your name. Calm people look stronger than defensive, especially when a lie needs your panic. Use clean lines instead. Say, "That is not true," or I am not discussing gossip, then exit. Exit is important. Staying too long turns defense into performance, and performers always lose against practice manipulators. Most viewers feel the deepest cut here. It is not the insult, it is being misread after standing tall. That pain makes people fold. They think I really am too much, and the trap closes quietly. No, the truth is uglier. Your confidence exposed their weakness, so they tried to label your strength as a flaw. This is why calm power matters. Loud revenge entertains them, but clean detachment starves the system feeding on reaction. Before the worst behavior, answer this honestly. Who got colder when you got clearer, stronger, quieter, and harder to guilt? Drop that in the comments later. Someone reading your story needs proof they are not imagining this pattern. Keep it sharp and specific. Was it a partner, a boss, a friend, or somebody in your family? Your example names the trick better than I can. Sometimes the comments expose patterns people never had words for. Now back to the behavior most people underestimate. They bait you emotionally, then study reactions like a spider testing web. A sharp joke lands, then eyes turn. They watch whether you laugh, defend, explode, or instantly start proving innocence. That test tells them everything. If you rush to fix the moment, they learn your buttons still work. The weapon here is short and cold. Say, explain the joke, or that sounded intentional, then stop. Do not add extra heat. Their whole plan is making you look unstable while they hide behind humor. And there is a fifth behavior nobody expects. Once distance works on you, they suddenly return soft, warm, and reasonable. No apology, no ownership, just access seeking. They text like nothing happened, because familiarity can reopen doors, logic closed. This confuses strong people more than open hostility. Warmth after disrespect feels like peace, but it is usually re-entry. Fake softness after boundaries means one thing. Their old route failed, so now they are testing a quieter entrance. Use a line that gives nothing. Say, noted, or that does not change anything, and keep your pace. Speed matters more than passion here. The calmer your boundary sounds, the more obvious their desperation becomes. Because here is the ugly truth. People who cannot handle your confidence hate losing leverage, not strength itself. Your self-respect closes discounts they depended on. No instant access, no guilt shortcut, no easy way inside your head. That is why tiny disrespect matters. It is rarely tiny. It is a probe, a cheap test of your standards. When someone cuts across you, notice it. When they go cold after no, notice that too. Confidence is not loudness. Sometimes it sounds like fewer words, slower replies, and a body that refuses to flinch. That body language changes rooms. Hold eye contact, uncross nothing, and let the other person feel their own noise. You do not need a speech. A pause before responding often hits harder than 10 clever sentences. Here's what healthy people do differently. They can dislike boundaries, but they do not punish you for having one. Toxic people treat your no like betrayal. They act wounded because wounded looks cleaner than controlling. That performance fools good people fast. You start managing their feelings, and they quietly recover the power you took. So remember this nuance clearly. A boundary is not control, because control tells others what they may do. A boundary tells them what happens next. It defines your response, your availability, and the price of crossing lines. That difference matters in families most. Guilt-heavy parents hear boundaries as rebellion because obedience was the old currency. The same thing happens at work. A toxic boss calls confidence attitude when you stop volunteering your nights. You answer once, then stop negotiating. That will not work for me is enough when respect is missing. And if they escalate, do less. Less explaining, less defending, less emotional donation to people collecting your reactions. Distance is often stronger than confrontation. Some people only respect consequences they can actually feel. That is the mistake confident people make. They keep trying to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding them. Stop applying honesty where strategy is required. Clear people explain once, then protect access, time, and attention. This is why fake reconciliation feels wrong. Forgiveness and reconciliation are not the same, and your body knows it. You can release anger without reopening doors. Peace does not require fresh access for people who abused old access. One more weapon matters when they rewrite history. Say, that is not what happened, then refuse the courtroom. You are not there to convince a liar. You are there to stop handing them new material. Notice how every behavior points backward. Under every jab sits fear, envy, insecurity, or panic about losing influence. Confident people threaten fragile people by existing. You become proof that excuses, manipulation, and intimidation are not universal laws. That is why they resent your calm. Chaos loses power around someone who does not volunteer confusion. Confidence is expensive for insecure people to watch. It forces them to face the discipline they avoided. So the next time disrespect appears, do not translate it kindly. Name it, shorten your response, and protect your access. Say less than they expect. Short answers feel cold only to people who survive by keeping you emotionally open. And when they call you changed, accept it. Better changed than still available for the same old damage. That line hits because it is true. Your growth always looks rude to people billing your old softness. The real flex is not winning arguments. It is becoming harder to bait, harder to read, and harder to use. That shift changes your whole life. Relationships clean themselves up when cheap access finally gets expensive. You will notice something strange after that. The less available you become, the more honest their behavior suddenly gets. Some double down with anger. Some retreat into silence, jokes, or victimhood. But all of it reveals dependence. That is your proof right there. Secure people do not panic when access changes. Insecure controllers do. You do not need their confession. Patterns are evidence, and repeated patterns deserve strategy, not endless benefit of doubt. Once you understand that, guilt loses grip. You stop negotiating with disrespect and start protecting what it costs. Try this once, this week. When someone tests you, pause first, answer shorter, and refuse to soften truth. Use one clean line only. Try, "not this time," or "I heard you," and leave it there. Then watch who gets irritated fastest. That reaction will tell you exactly who needed your old version. If that has happened to you, say it below. Your story can help somebody finally trust their own instincts. And if you want more language like this, subscribe. Hit the bell so you catch the next weapon early. Because once you see these patterns clearly, their tricks stop feeling personal and start looking painfully predictable. That is the reversal they never wanted. Your confidence did not create their behavior, it exposed it. So carry yourself slower, quieter, and less available. Let insecure people reveal themselves against your calm instead of your chaos. You are not hard to love. You are just getting harder to manipulate, and weak people feel that immediately. Them call it attitude. Weak people always rename strength when it stops serving them.